Hello, and today we'll continue with Kingsguard, one Ramos route. The look of worry and concern drained from their faces in unison. As you looked at each of them closely, you noticed they looked well beyond exhausted with dark bags around their eyes. Leandro's was the worst of them all. His mane was disheveled and unkempt. Even when he had just woken up, it never looked that bad. And his breath. Had he been drinking? How long have I been asleep for? He still felt a bit groggy and stifled a yawn. Marilyn wiped the tears from her eyes with the sleeves of her coat. Caden, you've been asleep for a week now. We've been waiting for you to come to. A week? So then the assassins? They are far away now, still back in Havana. They won't get you here. That's good to hear. You try to pull yourself out of bed, but the pain across your back stopped you in your tracks. Careful there. Try not to move too much. You're still recovering. You look back down at your bandage. Is it bad? Everyone's expression looked grim. Caden, I'm sorry. Even with all of our efforts, I still wasn't able to protect you yet again. It's okay. I'm still alive, aren't I? No, it's not okay. We almost lost you because of my negligence. It was only by the grace of the gods that one of the refugees on board was a medic. He was able to fix you up, but he told us that the damage was severe. There was a possibility you might never be able to move again or even wake up. Well, I'm not one to follow orders very well. He tried to laugh it off and brighten the mood, but it didn't help. Your comedic attempt hollowed out into silence. We're just glad you're okay. After everything that has happened, we couldn't bear to lose you as well. He glanced towards the door, hoping another would arrive. Despite being surrounded by your loved ones, your father was absent. Is my father working right now? Esther looked away from you, same with Leandro's, but both in a different direction. Their eyes stared down at the floor. Leandro's paws slowly bundled together into fists. Marilyn put her hands on over her mouth as though she had said something taboo. Caden, your heart fell down to your feet. Leandro's? Where is he? Is he asleep? I understand if he is, but I would like to let him know that I'm alright. Still, they remained silent in this unfamiliar room. Marilyn, Esther, you turned towards each of them as you said their names. Their only response was a squinted up face and a tear forming in the corner of their eyes. Leandros, what happened? Where is he? Caden, he never made it to the ship. What do you mean by that? Did he stay behind in that castle? Did we leave without him? I'm sorry, Caden. We were too late. Too late. Where's Kishiro? You were supposed to be protecting him. Caden, you have to understand, there were too many enemies. We were all overwhelmed. The enemy, they swarmed the castle. We underestimated them. I don't believe this. Marilyn, tell me this is a lie. Where's father? You were starting to run out of breath and your voice began to strain. Fear and worry strangled your heart. This all had to be a lie, a cruel, tasteless trick that they were playing on you. Caden, I'm sorry. Marilyn buried her face in her hands and fell to the floor. He stared back at Esther, but all he could do was close his eyes, bend down, and help comfort Marilyn. He helped her up and took her out of the room, leaving a trail of water drops out the door. No, 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 no! Caden, I know this is hard to accept, but you're safe now. Everything will be okay. Okay? Okay? Everything is certainly not okay. You promised me that we would be safe. You assured me that I wouldn't have had to worry. Caden, I did the best that I could to protect you. It was what your father wanted. What he wanted? Did his life not have any merit? His last wish was to get you away from the castle no matter the cost. I can assure you that his death was not his intention. Where's Castillo? You was the one who was supposed to look after him. Where's he hiding? Caden, he did his best. He did the best he could. Please try to understand. Try to understand? Try to understand what exactly? That I was made to feel safe. That I was told everything was under control, that we would be alright. You promised me, and now he's gone. I'm sorry, it was all my fault for this. I can never forgive myself for allowing this to happen. How hopeless could the two of you be? I'll never get to see him again, never hear his voice again. We'll return soon. Once it's safe, we can see him. Give him and the others a proper burial. Right now, we need to worry about you and your safety. Caden, just leave. I need to be alone. The lion looked at you with wide eyes, unsure of what to do. Go! The surprise on his face struck a chord in your heart. You needed to be isolated from everyone right now before you exploded. Before you did or said anything you would soon regret. Eliando slowly shuffled his way out of the room, stopped at the door to take one last look behind before hunching his head low and closing the door softly. You wanted to scream until your lungs swiveled in your chest. Instead, you balled your fists and shook. Your eyes fell upon a full glass of water atop a bedside table. You stared at it for a good minute before you reached over to pick up. It was heavy, like 5 times as heavy as you expected, as your arms shook, just trying to hold it. Water spilled out as you quivered and you stared at the wall ahead of you. The door opened and you threw the glass with all your might. Ramos peered inside, ducking the fit inside of the frame of the door. He glanced at the broken glass on the ground that met your eyes. Good thing I didn't come in earlier. You wanted to apologize, but the burning anger inside you caused you to flick your hair away. As if oblivious to your distress, he continued inside and made his way over to you. He threw a piece of food in the air and caught it several times. An apple, you guessed, and then took a large bite, nearly finishing the thing. So heard the news. King's dead, right? He showed little tact of concern, not an ounce of remorse at his uncaring comment. Why are you here? I thought we were buddies now. Is it so wrong to see a friend? Leave. I sent everyone else away. I wish to be alone. He continued his way forward and took a seat in the chair next to your bed and groaned and creaked under his weight. Damn things aren't very sturdy, are they? Did you not hear me? The creak in the chair interrupted you as Ramos was fitting himself into a more comfortable position. Every time you opened your mouth, the creaking would resume. You ignored him and stared back out the window. Perhaps he would get the hint and leave. Fancy room you got, and all by yourself, too. They set me up in a bunk with some snoring human. Quick pinch of his nose set that straight, though. Every time he spoke, he took a large and loud bite of the food, then proceeded to chew with his mouth slightly agape. It was annoying and disgusting to see him chew with such boorish manners. The once mighty Ramos on his high pedestal slowly began to crack and capsize. You were beginning to see why Leandro seemed so vexed by him and why he neglected to mention that they knew each other. Heard your tantrum from outside. Last time I saw Leo with a head that low was after he got his ass beat by the former captain. Even then he still had some fire in his eyes. You must have really grilled him to douse that out. What do you care? Ronald tossed the core of the food aside, lined his hands on the bed covers and stood up. Alrighty then. Time to get up. You've had enough rest in bed. Excuse me? Upsy daisy. We must gripped onto the covers and, like trying to perform some sort of parlor trick, quickly swept them off the bed. You shivered as your warmth dissipated and the chill of the room lit your skin. Then without warning, Ramos quickly lifted you up out of the bed. You expected pain and winced, but he was careful and gentle. He set you on your feet and took one arm and wrapped it around your waist to support you. What are you doing? Don't touch me. Your feet slightly gave way and were it not for his support, you would have crumpled to the ground. Vertigo once again took over as you tried to balance yourself. Relax, we're just heading out for a little walk and talk. The room stopped spinning and you somehow managed to hold yourself up. I'm in no condition to walk, and you are the last person I want to have any sort of conversation with. They say it's doctor's orders, right? Can't have you wasting away in bed. Gotta get plenty of sun and fresh air. Besides, Leo said it would do you good to talk to someone like me. For some reason, I highly doubt that. Ramos pushed you forward and you nearly stumbled out of the room. For saying he was doing this for your health, he certainly wasn't being very convincing. You passed through the halls, taking in the sights of all the survivors from Havana. Many of them were as heavily bandaged as usual. Some more so, others just a few scrapes, bruises, and scars. It was a menagerie of men and beastmen, the young and the old, the rich and the poor. Anyone who was able to get aboard was invited in. The assassins discriminated against no one. Perhaps you were their target, but their bloodlust ensnared all of these people as well. A lot of people have it pretty bad, huh? About 10 people have already died from their wounds here. Had to toss them overboard. Gotta say, you're lucky you survived with that wound of yours. Suddenly, your own troubles don't seem so big, don't they? Even though the city was packed with well over 100 survivors from the attack in Havana, you could tell there was more than enough room for several hundred more. You question just how everything this large could support this many people and still stay afloat. Despite the gloom of the people in pain and in misery, the ship itself was a thing of beauty. It was as large as a small castle, with the grace and elegance of one as well. And made you question just where Marilyn and Esther managed to find such a ship, or the money to get one made at least. The ship had 6 decks with over 100 spacious rooms for sleeping, 3 dining rooms, and numerous other rooms for recreational activities. It even had its own library. Along the way, this upper deck, Ramos pointed out a few nobles who paid an exorbitant fee to move their belongings to live on the ship. While he laughed at the idea, you didn't think it was so bad. The ship already had all the comforts of home in one convenient place. There was even the added benefit of stopping in harbor for restocking that gave the passengers an opportunity to get out and explore new lands. Right now, though, the ship was going at full speed on a one-way trip to Valdenforth, a port town in southern Yazan. From there, it would be a half-day carriage while inland to reach your relative's estate. You would remain there until the chaos in Havana had settled down and was deemed safe again to return. Though, to be honest, you wish you could have just remained aboard the ship and traveled the world. It felt like the safest option to you, though. Ramos merely laughed at the thought, claiming that any of the guests could be an assassin in disguise just waiting for the right moment to strike. And while he had yet to see anything suspicious, he couldn't wait until you were safe at the estate, likely due to the fact that his job would be done and he'd be happily whistling along, leaving you in this mess behind with a pocket full of coin. You wanted to tell someone about the mess you saw, about how it seemed to be admitted from the assassins to help you determine who was ally and who was foe, but who would have believed you? For all they know, it could have been part of a dream you had, and they likely would have dismissed it as such. If someone had told you the same story, you would have done the same. But there was something about that mist and that intoxicating stench that just was impossible to ignore. You knew it was real and not just a trick of the mind. You emerged from the cell sweating and almost out of breath. Even just taking the 2 flights of stairs to get to the upper deck was enough to blind you. The warmth of the sun and the breeze helped cool you off, and you felt a bit more refreshed. It would have been relaxing if it weren't for the various deckhands moving around so vigorously. Deckhands of various builds and weights scurried around either cleaning, securing crates and barrels, or working the cells. You turned to look at the horizon, and there was still nothing but clouds and sea. You did spy a single bird soaring overhead, though. You were distracted by all the commotion as Ramos guided you over to the railing of the ship and pushed you forward. You had little time to latch onto the rail and use all your strength to keep yourself from falling down. Ramos leaned back against the rail and you glared at him. What the hell could what the hell I could have tripped? Well, you didn't. Wouldn't have done that if I knew you were too weak. How do you even know how I feel right now? My legs were about to give way. If you really were in bad state, you wouldn't have been able to react like that. So that you're still recovering pretty damn quickly. Have to say I'm a bit jealous. Abstaining from a reply you took in the view. Sea and sky kissed each other at the horizon, but you saw not a speck of land in sight. So far away from Havana, from home. For so long he wished for a journey away from the castle to lands distant and exotic, strewn from the pages of the fantasy books he had delved into. But he always expected your adventure would begin under different circumstances. Your daydream of a better reality ended as your thoughts eventually drifted back to your father. You would never see him again, never hear from his voice again. Part of you wished that considering Leandros were lying to you, tried to keep a secret that your father went into hiding, maybe to keep you from searching him out or to trick the enemy. So he dragged me out here. Whatever you have to say, better be good if Leandros wanted you to talk. Actually, he told me to stay far, far away from you. I anticipated as much. Truth be told, I think it's you who should stay far away from him. When he got your wish, I always sent him away. Yeah, I heard, but he didn't deserve any of what you did. What do you care anyway? For fuck's sake, you're about one of the most spoiled little shits that I've ever met. Think you have it bad, huh? Think just how Daddy died, your whole world. Think just because Daddy died, your whole world fell down around you. Open your goddamn eyes and take a look around you. Half of these people look Half of these people likely lost friends, family, belongings, homes, probably will have nothing to return to. Will probably have to start all over. But you, once this whole ordeal is over, you will still have a castle servant's money, warm food waiting for you on a silver platter. What else that could have you lost, huh? A father who never really gave two cents about you. Leave my father's out of this. What can you possibly know about me? I don't have to say much. Leo comes crying to me with his problems. Had plenty of stories to tell about what Daddy Gills did to his sweet son. Why would he even tell any of that to someone like you? Because I'm a friend, someone he can trust. Well, you've been mistaken. Kind of hard to believe Leo would lie about something like that. Well, things change. We may not have seen eye to eye, but we still care for each other. This is just what a family is. Is Leo not your family? Of course he is. So it makes it right to push him away like you did. Going around moping, kicking, and screaming like a child. Hard to believe you are the king of a nation. From where I stand, you're more like a tick, feeding off of everyone around you, having no idea what kind of pain you cause others, especially those that actually look out for you. Leonard doesn't deserve someone like you. I've heard enough of this. Something about the way that Rainbow spoke to you just further aggravated you. Maybe it wasn't even that. He was just a brute, a wandering gladiator. What could he possibly know about you? What you've been through your entire life? Everything he said struck you deep into your core. It hurt and it angered you how much you knew he was right. But you didn't want to let go. Someone had to be blamed for the attack, for the death of your father. You tried to get away, but the best you could do was put one foot forward, both hands still clutching as well. You know, Leo watched his parents die right in front of him. He stopped moving. Yeah, that's right. He was what, about 4 or so? Didn't know that I bet. Only said it with me once. where he was having some serious night terrors. He can't even recall what they were like, only the same vision of them being slaughtered before their eyes. It's haunted him ever since. It got so bad at one point I've had to hold him down as he thrashed around in his sleep before he hurt everyone around him. Couple that with the loss of your father, I shouldn't have to tell you that he was like a parent to Leo as well. Can you imagine that? Imagine what he must be going through right now. To have his parents killed twice, and then there's you, wearing the salt into the wound. Gotta say, that's an asshole move even for me. Ramos was breathing heavy, his chest expanding to nearly twice its size with every inhale. He was glaring at you as though you were some kind of diseased vermin or a killer. His hands shook and he looked like a moment he was going to lunge out at you and either strangle you or push you into the sea. You really think, you really like to think you know everything, don't you? You didn't want to back down, no matter what he said, no matter what he would do to you. He took a step forward, grabbing onto the scruff of your shirt and brought you close to him. You flinched, anticipating the worst, but all he did was shake you a bit, then release you. I can see why he's so down and depressed every time I meet him, having to take care of someone like you. Don't know why he hasn't abandoned you. You're a lost cause at this point. Got nothing to say anymore. Can't believe this. To think a man like him cried a river for you. You know, just the other night he drank out. Just the other night he outdrank me and nearly half the patrons. Took not only me but several others to pin him down and stop the madman from drinking himself to death. It was a good thing he passed out shortly after. He really did that? Do I have any reason to lie to you? Don't answer that. The answer is no. He did recall that Leandro's looked worse for the wear. His breath had the familiar scent of L2. He was never really a drinker. Actually, he recalled that for the most part, he hated a drink. I always said the scent was either too strong or that he could never handle it well. Why? Why did he not say anything? I think a guy like him would actually tell you. I reasoned that he had to stay strong for your sake. He's always acted like a lone wolf, too tough for his own good. Yet not many men can take as much stress as he has and still have the courage to go on. You're likely the last thread of hope keeping him from falling into sanity, and after all he's done for you, you can't even utter a single thanks. So he made a mistake, misjudged those assassins, allowed them into the capital, but we aren't talking about any normal assassins here. You saw how hard of a time that I had dealing with them. I don't imagine it would have been easy to stop all of them, not even with that fox friend of yours. They could have died back there. I know I was fearing for my life. First time I nearly sat my pants. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Tell me, what did you do honestly? There was nothing I could do. You could feel the tears begin to drip down your face once more. I ran away, okay? I'm weak. I don't have the strength or the speed or the skills any of you. I'm not a beastman. I'm just a human. A frail human who could barely even stand right now. What do you expect of me? Now it was your turn to huff. You were finding it difficult to breathe and your legs felt like jello. That's just an excuse. You tried to protect me, didn't you? Maybe not well, but you did try. Even humans can do amazing things, but we're not all perfect. What are you saying? Still not getting it, huh? We may be stronger than you, bigger than you, faster than you, but we still bleed the same as you. We still have feelings as well, much to your surprise that we also make mistakes too. Can't really blame them for everything that has happened. Can't really blame them for the loss of your father. Wayne will start looking at you and wander in circles around the deck. Man, what am I saying? Acting like you're a parent now. I really don't blame them. How could I? The Angels. He's my guardian. He's my brother. I have to find him. I have to apologize for everything that I said. I shouldn't have said any of that. I was thinking only of myself again. He He must hate me by now. If I know Leo, I seriously doubt it. I mean, look at me. He still considers me a friend, though he'll probably skin my hide for this. Thank you for helping me realize this. It's what I do. It was almost hard to believe that this man, the one you looked up to, went from Boris brute to peacemaker. But somehow you knew this was likely the real him. He could put up his fist and swear all he wanted, but now you know that he was a softy at heart. If only Leandros knew that this man just talked back to a king for his sake. You know, if all this was just to get me to admit to my mistake, why did you take me out of my room? Because of the sea. Look back out at the water. In tight quarters like that, you're only going to get more and more angry at yourself and others. All that negative energy just builds up and swells in there. But out here with the waves and the wind, it helps calm the soul. Negative energy, whatever that was. He was right. Looking out the horizon somehow made your worries seem so small. Look, I understand that you lost your father, and quite frankly, I'm sorry for that. But you still have someone who cares about you. You don't want to lose him too. You don't want to end up like him. And forget I said anything. Let's talk about his mother, possibly. Well, maybe somebody else starts with an M, but could they be talking about his mother? Quite possibly. The wino turned away from you, and his eyes seemed to catch on something, or rather someone. The bird you saw before quiet as it circled above the ship. Your eyes followed it, hovering in the breeze until finally it dove down. It was aiming for someone on the quarter deck and perched itself on the passenger's outstretched arms. His furry ears, bushy tail, and dark foreign garbs were a dead giveaway to who he was. He still greeted the bird with a scratch under his chin, then began to work at removing what looked like a small note from a knapsack secured to the bird's back. Curious. He unraveled it, and as soon as he was finished reading, he walked away and disappeared to the belly of the ship. Wonder what kind of note he got. What's so curious? Come on now, surely you've used some sort of message, bird. Never had the need, never had the need to. Not many people you get a chance to talk to when you're locked up in the castle. Not many friends. Well, you must at least understand the concept. Send messages from one place to another. Yeah, so do I really have to explain it? Even the most trained of birds can't fly back the way they came. They fly in one direction, home. It's unheard of to have one fly to someone, even their owner, especially out here in the middle of the ocean. I suppose it's not impossible, even in Farhawan. I've heard tales of such a mysterious bird, though all of them have died shortly after being captured. I have to say, it seems pretty damn suspicious. Now I don't trust him, that means I still as well. Bad philosophy to live by. Everyone has an ulterior motive. He was my father's guardian. As much as I trust Leo, he's not always the sharpest tool in the barn. That fox is shady and clearly hiding more than he lets on. Leandros appeared out from within the hole, squinting and looking around frantically. He caught sight of Kisima and ran towards him. Kinda hard to hear what they were saying. Seems like they are looking for you. Well, it makes sense. You did just pluck me from my room. Oh, hold on. Looks like Knife Boy has something interesting to say. The two of them looked around cautiously, then stepped away into the corner of the ship. Guess that's our cue, too. Our cue? Come on now, have a little meeting in secret. I just want some privacy, and after what I said, I don't think I should interrupt them. Even what you said, I doubt he will hate you. He knows what you're going through, and he's not cruel enough to abandon you. Besides, we're not going to interrupt them. Just get a little closer. Ramos wrapped his arms around you, yet again to carry you off. Ramos wrapped his arms around you, yet again to carry you off. Hey, why do you need me there? Insurance. You being there gives me a valid reason to listen in. You know I'm not going to defend you for eavesdropping. Ramos shrugged and carried on. Until you made your way to the upper balcony of the ship and eavesdropped from above. The two of them seemed unaware of your presence as you ducked low to listen in. When I get my hands on that man. Leandro shook. His voice was low and he growled as he made a fist. I should have put a stop to him. I knew better to let him go with that brute, but I trust him enough that he won't try anything funny at least. It still disturbs me to put him into his care. I don't trust him one bit. We'll go find him in a moment. Tell me though, did the investigation lead anywhere? No, not yet. As I told you, they have they have nothing to hide. You can never be too careful. I'm still looking into it, but I hope for his sake as well there's nothing. But we now have even more pressing matters we need to discuss. I just received this a few moments ago. Yasir gave the small piece of parchment to Leandros. He began to read it. Soon as he finished, as soon as he was finished, he crumpled it up. First the assassination, and now this. Our soldiers are spread thin as it is, dealing with all these problems. There's no denying it. He must be behind this. There were some correlations, but we can't jump to conclusions. Even someone like him will have difficulty orchestrating these events, and he has yet to show himself. He failed to realize what kind of demon Gaius is. Now I'm not even sure that anywhere is safe for Caden. What are you talking about? I can barely hear a thing over the waves. Don't know if they were talking about the assassination, and they may have found a suspect, it seems. Who? Someone named Gaius. Name sounds familiar, though. I can't recall. Certainly or being quite privy by it, though. You think you figured out who that is? I don't know. It sounds familiar, but from back at the castle. My father and Leandros were talking about that man. I still don't know who he is, but they seem to be frightened of him. Let's listen in some more. Then think, war could be on the horizon. Perhaps boarding this ship was the wrong idea. It was the safest way out of town, and we didn't have much of a choice. Damn it, and it had to be so close to the Yasin Brum Pass. Just how we're going to explain this. I doubt the Queen hasn't already received news of this yet. It will only be a matter of time before they make a decision on what to do about this. It might be a bit of a stretch, but I'm sure she must have heard of the plight in Havana. Perhaps she can be convinced that this was all just a ploy. Even they wouldn't give up the chance to push forward for the sake of just war, especially considering her recent fall favor. Our nation doesn't have a king, and it would be even harder to convince her that Caden is still alive. Perhaps we shouldn't have been so rash. I'm already regretting it. Just imagine what Caden will think when we tell him that he has to pretend to be dead. I feel absolutely terrible for it, especially after all he's been through. It was the right decision. So far, it has thrown off his pursuers, evident by what my scouts say, and just now our enemies have begun to make their move. You nearly lost your breath. What? What is this? Guess you were the last one to know. What? You're as dead as a doornail, kiddo. You have to be you have got to be joking me. Why would you know this anyway? Leo told me to keep shut about it considering I'm one of the few people aboard the ship who knows who you actually are. But why would they think that's a good idea? Makes sense when you think about it. I know a few people who were caught in some sticky situations. Sometimes the best thing you can do is disappear. And what better way to do that is to spread the rumor that you're buried 6 feet under. Even if it was to trick your enemies, there were still multiple implications to doing so. With you now considered dead, the power of the throne would be up for grabs. Anyone with a legitimate right to rule could easily be put onto the throne temporarily. Once yet, you couldn't imagine that any of them would want to give up that power. So easy were you to return anyway. I could try to investigate this myself. I don't think they would be so rash as to immediately plan to strike back, so we may have some time to get to the bottom of this. No, I want you to stay close to Caton. With the issues in old Dominia, I will be leaving once we land. Even now more than ever after learning of this. What, he's leaving me too? Man, they really haven't told you shit, have they? What are you, their inside man or something? Nah, I'm sure you already recall that meeting we had at the tavern. Well, he came back a day later to talk to me about being your bodyguard, at least until he returned. Anyway, he did mention something about a problem with Nero. It has been a bit dangerous as of late, so I can imagine why he would feel the need to go there. How bad could it be? Let's just say not even I would walk the streets with a bag of coin on my side. Are you truly sure that it's okay? I know that he said those things, but I'm sure they didn't mean it. This isn't about that. You know that we can't endure this anymore. I don't want to leave him. It pays me to have to do so. I will be relying on you to look after him. It will be difficult to explain this as well. I just hope he will be able to forgive us. I'm sure he'll come around. We just need to get him somewhere safe. Well, if worse comes to worse, I could always try to see about contacting His Majesty's old allies. We may not have enough forces to face down both Farhawan and Brahm should they make their move. Okay, so it's like both kingdoms, the two kingdoms are going to war with Caton. So they really are making a move. What are they talking about? There have been some rumors floating about in Farhorn, the kind that have caused people to close up, stop or lock their doors at dusk. Sounds of battle cries and marching in the distance, an army. I normally just let that stuff go in one ear and out the other, but for a little over a year now, there's been talk of a mysterious individual who's been corralling beastmen for some kind of recruitment. Actually, I met someone who approached me about it, said it was good pay and that I would be given some swanky new weapons in order. Seemed sketchy, so I declined, but they were quite persistent about it, asking every man and woman, sometimes even children, to join their cause. Was it for this army you mentioned? Likely, though, they never mentioned anything of the sort. They said they were heading out into new lands and promised riches beyond your wildest dreams. A little bullcrap if you ask me. Any land that hasn't been discovered is going to be offshore or Tavor. How is it that we have just heard of this now? As I said, they were quite persistent. I've heard stories of villages that have been burned down to the ground when they declined the proposal. Even those of Farhawan, that's just the way things go. It's news, but not like it ain't that much different from what happened across the country. I suppose it would make sense. Farhawan is a huge nation, larger than even Brahm and Yasin. It would be near impossible to know the everyday happenings there anyway. Well, here's where things get really interesting. Before I came to the capital, I took a detour through Rendero myself. Damn well near got mugged by a group of bandits in the area. Managed to beat them up, but from what I could tell, there were more of them, a lot more. And their armor was brand new as well. Strange indeed, unless they stole it off of some soldier. I couldn't take the main roads. They were present nearly everywhere. All of them Farhawan too. Are you saying that they managed to make it here already? I'm only saying what I saw. A force that large would have trouble making it past the wall in the first place if they spread their forces there. I wouldn't doubt that Leo hasn't already noticed either. It must be why he's headed there, to find out what's really going on. But that's dangerous. How could he could get hurt or murdered or killed? He could look after himself. Besides, while those bandits were intent on getting in that cast, it was more like they were trying to keep anyone from entering or leaving. That just screams, hey, look why I'm hiding behind this door. Why haven't our soldiers done anything about it then? I'm about as clueless to this as you are. But if I had to gander, they might not have the manpower to even overcome this. If you really think about it, it wouldn't even take a fourth of the population of Farhorn to take over Yazan. You can thank a lack of solid leadership that your nation hasn't fallen to ruin already. But from what I'm gathering, it almost seems like this guy's character is one who's planning all of this. If this is enough to steer the others into action, you can bet that he must be quite dangerous. And if he managed to sneak into the castle with that many assassins, you can bet he must have quite a bit of inside knowledge. Wouldn't doubt smuggling over an army would be that much harder for him given enough time. You figure all that out based on what you heard? Just a bit of speculating. You're smarter than you look. Why, you think that just because I got blind I don't got brains? Well, yeah, sort of. Hey, guess you wouldn't be the first, though this is just from experience, not that I'm some new age philosopher or something. Still, this doesn't sound good. If Farhawan doesn't manage to finish us off, then Brown could quickly follow from what it seems. What are we going to do? What can I even do? You fell back down at the wrappings around your body. You were in no position to fight. You didn't even know the first thing about war. The kingdom, no, the entire world hadn't seen a war in over 500 years. There was almost no need for those kinds of lessons. Just what kind of knowledge could you contribute to this cause? You tightened your fists, you really felt hopeless. It would be nice to have some reinforcements, but if the queen makes her move, they could end up fighting for her. So, I think that woman we saw in the last video, I gotta assume that she's the queen of Farhawan. And what we saw her is that she's a very brutal person, you know? Very ruthless. So if that is her, based on that dream he had, Cain had, you know, if that dream we saw really is her, the queen of Farhawan. The late king had many allies in Brom, those who had sworn their life to him over the queen. I'm certain they would be willing to help us in this time of need just as we did for them. The king Reynard, yes, but Caton, he has yet to prove himself to them. I'm not sure if that is worth the risk. I still feel as though we should give it a chance. It is clear that the invaders are likely to head straight to the capital, seeing as they have for the most part ignored Azai and Winero. Trying to rush an army through the Hallow Pass would be foolish. This gives us much needed time to prepare reinforcements in the event that our forces aren't strong enough to hold back Farhawan. You know, I think I might be able to help you there. Got a few friends in Farhawan who have been itching for a fight. Ramos, what happened to staying quiet? Relax, kid, I got this. Castillo and Leandros turned to look at the two of you in surprise. They must have been really focused not to have noticed you, though. Ramos smiled as he leaned on the railing and saluted to them. What do you say we join them Your Majesty? What do you say we join them, Your Majesty? I'm not sure that's a good idea. Why not? Don't you think you have a say in any of this? But what can I even do? For starters, you can walk on down there. I'll even help you since I'm such a nice guy. Ramos pulled you away from the railing and helped guide you down to where your two Kingsguard were. Consider glared at Ramos while Leandro seemed to ignore the Rhino for the most part, as his eyes were on the mood of disappointment and worry gave way to an almost common sadness and disappointment. Hayden, he looked away from you as if embarrassed for some reason. If you had to guess, he was probably still feeling a bit stunned after all the things that you said to him. So that is where you were. Hayden, he didn't hurt you, did he? No, I'm fine. Are you sure? Your legs are shaking. I'll be alright. Leandro still refused to look at you. He appeared to be in a daze. You could tell that he was acting far more timid than you were used to. Just your presence was enough to keep his mouth shut. And now, before we continue this little meeting, I think you have something to say, don't you? You tried to walk forward a bit to grab the lion's attention. You stumbled and could see Leandro's urge his body into motion, but ultimately stopped. Ramos was nearby to keep you on your feet. Leon, what I said to you back in the room, I just wanted you to know I didn't really mean all that. I mean, I was really completely unjustified for me to say. Even if I was wrapped up in my own emotions, I knew you were right, that you tried your damnness, but still I didn't want to accept it. I blame you and Casero for everything, even though it wasn't your fault. None of what happened was in your control. Kate, I understand. You don't have to apologize. Leo, let him finish. He's having a man-to-man moment with you. Don't ruin it. Leandros looked a bit confused, probably at why Ramos was the one egging this on, but you still continued. I cleared up things with my father. I'm thankful I was at least able to do that before he died. But if today could be the last day I can see you, then I don't want to remember our last moment before one of grief. I'm sorry for everything I put you through. Please forgive me, Kanan. I've always forgiven you. I know exactly how you felt, and I would have done the same were I in your shoes. All I care about is keeping you safe. If you hated me, wanted me to leave, I would still watch over you without your consent. But I'm glad that you've said that to me. It really lifts my spirits to know you care about me. You're forgiven, and thank you. See, so much better. What is that about ruining the moment? So you had more to say? Yes, you turned to Casero. You probably didn't hear it from Leandros yet, but I also said some things about you as well. The two of you. You're not hopeless, far from it. I never would have made it this far without the two of you looking out for me. If anything, I'm the hopeless one. I just hope the two of you will be able to forgive me for everything I said, for how I acted. Just as Leandro said, even if you were angry and hated me as well, I could never leave your side. I will always continue to assist you from the shadows. I really don't deserve you guys. It's a tough time for all of us, but we'll make it through this. I swear to you. I won't rest until your enemies have been brought to justice. Look at you guys, just like one big happy family. Quite frankly, makes me a little bit jealous. Reynolds puts a hand up to his eye and pretended to wipe away a tear. Really? Nah. All the sentiment is making me a little bit hungry, though. Well, I think we've gone quite off the track now. I believe we were talking about reinforcements. You said something about finding allies in Fort. They're the best kind of hard-working and sturdy, willing to work for the right price. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to run around Farhawan looking for fickle alliances for mercenaries. Farhawans are fickle. You pay them or owe them a favor, and they pay it off. They're more true of people than you give them credit for. And who said anything about mercenaries? I'm talking about soldiers here, tough, armored, and ready to fight. We're not exactly on good terms with anyone in the race. You're in luck that I have arrived. I know quite a few powerful individuals who still owe me some favors, provided we If you're willing to pay, I could cast those favors in for far more than just a simple helping hand to your crusade. With the army we have, I think we should be good. Yeah, certainly doesn't look like it. I beg your pardon? Look around you. God came without a clue of what's going on, making him about as helpful as an honest man in a wrestling match. But hey, your nation's being ransacked and ravaged, and yet you still refuse help like a beggar throwing away fresh bread. And somehow you're going to put in a good word for us as you trek around trying to gather an army? There's a lot you don't know about me after 15 years. Really now. Look, if you really don't want my help, then I'll just sit back and watch the show from a long distance. The gods know I don't want to get caught dead anywhere near Yasin when things start to fall. He did have a point. After all that you learned, there was no way you could win this war with just your men. You needed more allies. Nandos, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but we need his help. If Ramos believes he can secure us more allies, I'm all for it. See, the kids got the right idea. Okay, now I know it seems like a tempting proposition, but we can handle things just fine on our own. Nandos, we need to prepare for all contingencies. I know you mean well, but it's this lack of insight that forced us into this position in the first place. We need all the help we can get, and if what Ramos says is true, then we should accept it. Especially if we are trying to defend our kingdom, our home. I don't want these invaders on my land anymore. If they are not here on friendly terms, then we must move them. Not just for my sake, but for the safety of all that live here. I don't like the idea of bringing more enemies from Farhawan into our lands. What if they turn on us? We don't have much of a choice. We're fighting an uphill battle on a slippery slope. Ramos, are you completely sure that you can trust these allies of yours? I can trust my own family, though they've been dead for years, so maybe that's not a great comparison. Just have a little faith and try me, alright? I'll get you the army you need, get paid, and then we can go back to living our merry little lives. You three having your little tea party orgies in the castle, I can live off my days of luxury getting fat. Win-win if I do say so. Stop here. Alright, so looks like Caden has decided to take Leandros' idea of going to Farhawan and getting allies to help Yasser against these invaders. Leandros is against it. He believes that he still has it covered with their men. I mean, I can't speak, but Leandros doesn't think that they need that they need these people from Farhawan to help with liberating Yasin. That he kind of got it covered though. But anyway, I'm glad that Caden apologized to both Leandros and Casiro for his outburst. I mean, I know he's emotional at his father being dead. Or at least I think he's dead. That's what they're saying. He's dead. He could be alive, but again, apparently under their impression he's dead. But anyway, he said that his father is dead, and he lashed out at the both of them because they were not able to save his father. And that his father, his last words, wanted them to protect Caden from all costs. So apparently, keeping Caden alive is more important. The future king. So I'm happy that Ramos made him apologize to them. But he's certainly not the big muscle-bound brute. He's more than just this big muscle-bound brute. He's also pretty intelligent also, kind of really smart, you know. So, and I guess he wants to get fat now. He doesn't want to be a muscular rhino anymore. He wants to get fat. I mean, not that I mind. I do like chubby characters also, so I wouldn't mind seeing him getting fat too. So I don't know. Maybe eventually we'll see that. Maybe not. But anyway, I guess maybe he wasn't completely serious about that, but he certainly wants to stop wandering around the world and live a life of luxury. You know, just settle down in one place and have a nice life. You know, being able to eat and have the necessary necessities needed. You know, without him having to go around hustling and participating in tournaments, these fighting tournaments to make money. So I don't blame him for wanting that. I don't blame him for wanting that to happen at all. So, um, yeah. Anything else to say? I think that's all I got to say. So, in the next video, we'll see Leandros and Casero depart. They'll go their separate ways and towards, you know, trying to get forces to help with Yasin, and Caden will go with Ramos towards Farhawan. I'm assuming that's where they're going to help with getting forces. So that's going to happen in the next video. So we'll see all that next time. And so thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.